It's crazy. There we go.
Beautiful.
Now we're
live.
back.
Hey, look, things happen.
Yeah.
It's 2020. Expect it. COVID. You know, I blame COVID. That's what happened.
Yeah, it's always COVID's fault.
COVID got in the computer, and it wasn't wearing a mask, so it shut us down.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to share this to all the groups
There you go.
while you're telling people why are we here?
So we're not in the studio because they're renovating the studio, and there's a whole construction crew in there. They're going to be here till like probably midnight.
Yes.
Who knows? Because there's a morning show happening tomorrow morning. So
they've been in there like crazy too.
All day.
All weekend they're installing stuff.
It's tore up,
moving stuff around.
crazy.
So we're gonna start completely fresh. We're gonna act like none of this happened because it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Okay, and let's kick it off right from the top. Obviously, a phenomenal week in the MMA world. We've got a lot of stories to talk about too, with just craziness. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier, of a time when it was like as exciting to be not only a mixed martial arts fan but a boxing fan too. Like boxing's like
Combat
lost
sports.
its mind. Boxing just like went on all the drugs.
But they're going the gimmicky route.
Yeah,
You
somebody said that we're blaming your internet, not ours. Oh, I thought they said something.
Oh wow,
about
I
the
didn't even
lines.
see the comments.
Yeah,
there.
but yeah, COVID made the internet go out. But,
Hell yeah, COVID made Rob.
Yeah,
COVID, bro, everything COVID. All right.
yeah. Thank you, Rob, for the support. We appreciate it. But yeah, talking UFC Vegas 16, the card itself, not a star-studded card. You know, we were talking about
And
this
they
last
normally
night.
aren't. The fight nights normally aren't.
But really, when it comes down to it, a good card if you just want to watch some good fights. And that's exactly what happened. Everything from the prelims all the way up to the main card. I got to tell you, though, coming from the Habib-Justin card when the card was at 2 p.m., and now, like, the prelims start at 8, by 10 o'clock, I'm tired. I'm old. Like, luckily, you're awake.
I'm like wide awake.
Yeah, but it was it was a good card. It just, I get why people wouldn't watch it because it doesn't have, you know, the Conor McGregors, the John Joneses, or even like the Jose Aldos or whatever, which is coming up, and we'll talk about him as well. But regardless of good card, what fight stood out for you on that card?
The main event was really good. I was very interested in that because that's a middleweight, top 15 fight. You know, I mean, especially Hermanson. I mean, he's ranked number 4, I believe.
Yeah,
and then I want
Hill with that knockout over OSP too.
Oh my god,
that to me was
and he's from Michigan, which is
Grand
great.
Rapids, which is awesome. Not only do we have Chaos Williams repping Michigan, but now we've got Hill representing Michigan as well.
Exactly.
That was, man. I mean, you want to talk about a flurry of punches?
Yeah,
just
great win for him
against OSP, who is like a great fighter.
He is.
It was something that
he really is.
I did not expect that. Did you, when you were making your predictions video, I don't know if you touched on that fight, but what were your thoughts going into that fight, and then obviously the result?
You never know with OSP which OSP shows up. I don't know if you noticed that about him. I mean, sometimes he's just on it.
Yeah.
And then there are just days where he's not the same OSP.
That is true.
And that's who I feel. I'm not taking anything away from Hill, but I think Hill won that fight. It wasn't OSP not showing up. I think Hill won.
And it only took him a round and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, he had him up against the cage, and I was like, maybe OSP will use his, tricks and game to get out of it or try and clinch up, and just bop, 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 bop. He just kept going.
If I remember correctly, OSP's last fight was at heavyweight.
Yeah.
He went up to fucking heavyweight.
Yeah, which is nuts to me.
Like, I mean, he's always been a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
You know?
But that means to me that when you're going up to heavyweight, you were already sitting at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Like, and
you just didn't want to cut the weight.
You didn't want to cut the weight. So then you got to come back down to light heavyweight and look at what happens to you. You know, it's very iffy when it comes to the light heavyweights versus heavyweight talk, because I mean, sure, there's only, 225 and up really. And then you've got 205. I mean, there's a lot of weight difference there.
Right.
But yeah, Hill looked great. He's from Grand Rapids.
Right.
I think that when it comes down to it, him and Chaos Williams, and of course Chaos Williams has got a big fight coming up. Michigan's been putting on, man.
Chaos Williams is the business, man.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
And he's fighting Michelle. Look, we'll talk about that later. Michelle Pereira is another fun guy to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be a great fight.
But if he plays those stupid flip games, he's getting knocked the fuck out.
Yeah. But what did you think of Vettori and Hermanson? I think that Hermanson being the number 4 fighter, I thought that he would have put up more of a fight.
Yeah.
But how powerful is Vettori, ranked number 15 in the division?
And he shot up. Man, he's going to be in the top 5 come tomorrow morning. Which is crazy.
He has to be. If he isn't, then rankings don't mean anything.
Yeah, no, he will.
Do you think that he'll jump from 15 up to the top 5?
Yeah. I mean, at least the top 7.
I'll say the top 7.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of middleweights up in that division.
Right.
To where moving him into the top 5 might be a little crazy. I could see him landing, let's make predictions now. I'm going to say 8.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so Hermanson was number 4, I believe.
think Hermanson drops down to 7.
Right. And, I mean, I believe you should take that person's spot.
I think so
personally.
Too. I think so too.
But
yeah.
But that's such a huge jump that I doubt it's going to happen. I think he'll land in the top 6 somewhere. So let's call it 6 or 5.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good with that.
I think he'll land there.
Yeah.
He was tough as nails.
He was tough, and he had that knockdown in the first round.
Yeah.
I feel like Hermanson never really recovered after that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, he was still in the fight. I mean, you could say that Hermanson won maybe 1 round out of the rest of those.
And even in the grappling exchanges.
Yeah.
Dude, Hermanson's a monster on the ground.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see how not important the rankings are, really.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, like, the rankings don't mean shit
Right.
when a number 15 guy comes in and just destroys a number 4
it's
guy.
an opportunity thing. Like,
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
Yeah. But a very good fight. Very good fight. And, I mean, it got fight of the night for a reason. I think that when it comes down to it, that division is very similar to the lightweight division. Like, there's just so many people in that division that are headhunters.
Yep.
Now, Vettori called out not only Costa, but he also wants to run back the rematch with Izzy. Obviously, the rematch with Izzy isn't going to happen.
That's not happening.
No, it's
at
not
least
gonna
for a couple of fights, at least.
Yeah, it's something that I think when it comes down to it, you want the fight with Izzy. I want Vettori to face Izzy. I want Izzy to stay in his division. I think moving up to 205 is ridiculous. It makes no sense.
It just slows down the division.
It does, and
typically.
it always does. It always does when that type of fights happen, to where the super fights, you're going to move down or you're going to move up, and it's just like, no, just stay in the division. Why wouldn't you want a ranked champion like Anderson Silva? Right. He was the champion for so long, 16 title defenses.
Well, I think I see the UFC's game plan. They're going to create another huge star. If he beats Blachowicz, now you have a 2-division champion.
But he's already a huge star.
He is.
Yeah.
But that takes him, I don't know, to another level.
But does it, though? Because it's Blachowicz.
It is Blachowicz.
Now, if he wins the title, I feel like no matter who he faces, as long as he wins that title, then he's the double champ.
But I look at it like, I think the UFC believes that he can beat Blachowicz, right? He does that.
Do you think he can beat Blachowicz?
I think
if he beats Blachowicz,
is a tougher fight than he's fucking thinking.
Anybody, Whitaker, Romero, Costa, like even Gastelum, and Gastelum could be a light heavyweight.
Dude,
you know?
He really could be.
But
Gastelum is just a whole other case.
Yeah,
I mean,
Blachowicz. I mean, they call it Polish power for a reason.
Hell yeah! If he wins and gets that light heavyweight title, that is like a guaranteed John Jones fight. I mean,
but then you got to think. I mean, John Jones is possibly going to heavyweight. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I saw the videos of him training with Clarissa Shields earlier this weekend,
another person from Michigan,
and we'll talk about her as well. Yeah. But when I see his body, I'm like, he ain't 205, bro. No like he's 230 easily,
minimum.
So it's like, okay, so they set up the Blachowicz and Izzy fight for, I hope, before spring.
I heard. You know what? My bad. I think that was Stipe and Ngannou. They were looking at March. So right. I don't know then when that could be.
I mean, why don't you set it up for February? You've been talking about
February's wide open right now.
Right, February's wide open.
I haven't heard anything about
I've heard
February.
a couple things for March.
Yep, me too.
You know, the Dominic Cruz and Casey Kenny fight, which we'll talk about that coming up.
Yep.
But I think about it, I'm like, why wouldn't you just book that fight for February, so then you can tell Jones, okay, hey, listen, I know heavyweight sounded good. How about coming back to light heavyweight for a fight with Izzy? He would totally shed the weight for that.
Now, if you remember what Izzy wanted, and I'm not going to say the UFC, but Izzy was like Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas, the brand new Raiders Stadium, International Fight Week, John Jones with fans. Now, I don't know with COVID what's going to happen.
But then the UFC just said that January 23rd is International Fight Week, and they're doing it in Abu Dhabi. So what is International Fight Week?
Well, that's a new International Fight Week, I think.
So what, they're going to have 2 International Fight Weeks? There's no rules.
I know.
There's no rules.
COVID, bro.
I know, seriously. Like, it's so crazy. I was thinking about it the other day. They had, what was it? Was it a Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football? Maybe.
I don't watch football, but the crew is actually here. They're watching the game right now.
Ravens versus something
at like 2 o'clock.
Like 2 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Right.
Like, there's no rules. There's no rules anymore. But when I think of Izzy and I think of Vettori, I think in order to create division integrity, and that's something that the UFC has completely lost. Now, you look at what boxing's doing, and we're going to talk about the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather thing coming up. That is a worst nightmare case scenario. Like, the BMF belt was a mockery, in my opinion. Did I love the fight?
Of course.
Sure. But why is it?
They didn't have to put a title on it.
Didn't have, but Dana's so, like, rock hard on it has to be a title for it to be a pay-per-view fight.
Right.
That's such bullshit.
Right.
You can do the no boxing techniques in a UFC world.
Connor and
Cowboy wasn't it? It's like only for certain people, and it's like no, like
really only for Connor. It seems
like Jorge and Diaz should have been a pay-per-view fight. I will never say that it shouldn't.
You didn't have to put a title on it. Just call it the baddest motherfucker. Just call it.
Right. Have Kid Rock perform in the middle of the octagon. Have it be a shit show.
You're the BMF. That's End of story.
But like having it be for this title that you never see again.
It was a whole thing. The Rock came out, brought the
belt out. It was so,
like,
it made me think of boxing and where boxing has been for a while and where boxing is definitely headed in 2020. And again, we'll talk about the Floyd Mayweather thing coming up. But yeah, I look at Izzy, I look at Vettori. I think Vettori, after doing what he did to Hermanson, I think he totally deserves a title shot.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, the guy's got a little bit of recovery. I would say a couple months of recovery, maybe a month and a half, maybe. I mean, he didn't get hit too incredibly hard or hurt too incredibly hard in that fight. So why not set up the Costa fight in? I mean, could you do?
You probably could pull off February, to be honest.
I was going to say January 23rd.
Ooh, on the Connor.
Yeah, but then again, like that's me as a fight fan wanting to see, like, okay, let's keep the division going.
I'm sure Costa's
got to be ready.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Like, you're not doing anything other than begging for an Izzy fight. That's never going to happen.
That ain't happening, dude.
Yeah.
2-3 fights minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm thinking more like 4 or 5.
But performances. I mean, he would have to go in and starch Vettori. Like, he would have to go in and starch Vettori.
I mean, because he got TKO'd.
He would have to
outclassed.
He would have to beat Whitaker and knock out Whitaker faster than when Izzy knocked him out, so he'd have to do it in a round instead of 2.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things that Costa would have to do.
Really perform.
Yeah, there's just I don't see Costa getting the belt. But then you have Vettori, who's not only on a streak, he's looking good. I mean, if I'm correct, I think he's on a 4-fight streak?
But not just that. He pretty much dominated the number 4 guy.
Right, which people forget. Like, even I forget that. Like, Hermanson hadn't fought for
is
so
a
long.
beast.
Right, and Hermanson hadn't fought for so long that people forget about that,
you
know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think one more fight for Vettori if he was to beat Costa, but he wouldn't be able to go 5 rounds with Costa. He would have to dominate Costa.
Yeah.
Like, he would have to do what Izzy did, but better.
Right.
Because
you mean to get the title shot?
To get the title shot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are you fighting Costa? If I was Vettori, I would say, listen, I will fight Costa, but for one, that's putting my life on the line. That's because Costa was dominant before the Izzy fight, and even though he got starched by Izzy, it proves how strong Izzy is. But it doesn't downplay Costa.
No.
Costa was 18-0.
He was. I mean, he can go on another one of those runs.
Right.
Easily.
So why don't you set up that fight? Hermanson, you know what you do with Hermanson? You set him aside for a little bit, and you rebook that Till fight.
Yeah.
You know? Till's coming off of that loss from Whitaker.
Yep.
And either that or you give him Holland should he beat Jacare.
Give Hermanson.
Give Hermanson Holland.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
I think
with
that's a.
He was ready to take that fight.
He was ready. Which, man, Holland taking that fight, like,
you think that would have been a worse matchup?
No, I just feel like that's balls.
That is.
Like, that's some big balls, man.
To be honest, I feel like Jacare's a tougher challenge, and he took it.
Jacare's a tougher challenge than Hermanson?
I believe so. I know he beat him.
I see.
I mean, for Holland, I'm